What up, everyone? I'm Jack Slater, aka the Comic Outlaw. Yeah! And you know what time it is. You know, it's been a while since I dropped a Funko Time. Funko Time. Fuck yes, it's Funko Time. And some knowledge on the 80s. Now, certain things from the 80s, you know, because of nostalgia, call it this and that, they've been making a comeback. And one thing that's been making a huge comeback is G.I. Joe. And not so much like in the cartoons, but as far as media, toys, action figures, stuff like that, it's been having a resurgence of sorts. Even in Funko Pops, which I will be showing you guys another part of my collection. I showed you guys my heroes. I'll be showing you guys my other figures later on. I have a Cobra Commander and a Snake Eyes and a Sergeant Slaughter, which lends itself to both wrestling and G.I. Joe. Now, one of the things I do want to talk about that I did acquire is something Sergeant Slaughter used to rip apart on a daily basis. The Cobra Bat. In case you guys didn't know, that stands for Battle Android Trooper. Yep. Now, in the G.I. Joe cartoon back in the 80s, you know, they kind of had this thing where they couldn't kill each other, so, like, it kind of always seemed like the weapons were on stun, and it would just knock people over, or you see Cobra, even like, whoop, they still kind of be alive, you know. With these machines, it actually gave the Joes an opportunity to actually blow something up. And of course, Sergeant Slaughter just to rip apart with his bare hands. Now, as much as people make fun of Cobra, and yes, there's a lot of room to make fun of him, especially with the way Cobra Commander leads things, the relationship he has with Destro, Serpentor getting into the mix, other characters coming in like Dr. Mindbender. It's kind of one big dysfunctional group. But the Joes are not without their flaws either. But a lot of interventions actually, or inventions I should say, and probably interventions too with Cobra Commander's ego, happened in Cobra. A lot of different devices, ships, weaponry. And if you watch the G.I. Joe movie, and I'm not talking about the action movie, I'm talking about the one in 86. And I'm going to drop massive spoilers on a movie that came out in 1986. So if you haven't seen it, watch the movie and then la la la, and you know. Cobra Commander was actually a scientist, you know, from this group that was there before the cavemen called Cobra Law. Got exposed to some fungus, became deformed, and he became their pick to go out. So it wasn't like he was some great general or tactician. He was a scientist. And Destro was kind of a weapon smuggler and inventor himself. So there was a lot of science there. A lot of weapons, a lot of stuff like that. So Cobra always had these crazy devices, these crazy schemes. For example, their leader Serpentor was actually grown from some of the best country's greatest leaders, such as Napoleon, Genghis Khan. They even tried to get in Sergeant Slaughter's DNA, so like history's greatest leaders and tyrants. So Cobra's always kind of had an edge over like Joe's, and the Joes always seem to like invent like generators or stuff like something like Cobra always needed to enhance their schemes, which would eventually get screwed over as a cartoon. The comic books were a little more balanced. So I saw this little gem and I thought this was so cool. When I had G.I. Joe action figures, I had like 3 of these guys because they were so useful. They had like hands that would detach. There was a laser gun, a blowtorch, and a claw. So, you know, it had different weaponry. It had a hologram right here, which was very unique at that time. So it was a very cool toy to have. And like Cobra, like the one thing about Star Wars is, besides the toys being all stiff, is that a stormtrooper was a stormtrooper. It was very generic. Cobra, when they made variants on troopers, and they made a lot of different variants on different troopers, and they like released different Cobra troopers, you kind of had an ability to have different battalions and different things. That's what made G.I. Joe cool. The Cobra characters kind of evolved, and it wasn't just the same generic bad guy. You know, they were a random soldier, of course, but they they had a different style, a different flair, you know, you really tell them apart. Anyways, I digress. Check this out though. Cobra Bat. And like I said, check these out. And like I said, I got an older Snake Eyes, so I don't know if I'm going to get this one because the one I have has a cool sword and the machine gun, so why should I downgrade? Storm Shadow does look interesting. You know, of course, they got Scarlet and the Baroness. The Baroness has always been one of my favorite characters. I always found Scarlet interesting too. She's kind of the girlfriend of Duke. But I've always preferred Flint and Lady J. Flint was my favorite out of the old school characters, so there you have it. You know, we all have our favorite. That and Sergeant Slaughter. Sergeant Slaughter was the man. I talked about that in a later video, or an earlier video back in the day. You guys go watch that. Very cool. So, let's do what we always do. Pop it open. And I love these Funkos, they just pop right out. Alright, check it out. Very shiny. Very sleek. I was really hoping they would make a Destro, but wishful thinking, I guess. I think they should just make a Cobra set like Serpentor and Mindbender, you know. Kind of get those guys out of the way. But this is just awesome. It doesn't have the hologram on the chest, but it has like a realistic pieces, or kind of realistic, you know, like realistic components. It actually looks like the action figure. The only problem is it doesn't have the backpack with all the other different hands. But I guess it's a battle droid. It's in the process of being in a battle. And it has that hook hand that I was talking about. And like I said, the hands would disattach. You would be able to put the hand in the back. It would come with a blowtorch, a laser, and this claw right here. And the claw is very cool. It's one of my favorites. And I actually really like this trooper. It was a nice add-in in the cartoon. Like I said, it was something different. Something that can actually blow up. Check it out. And we guys get a full view. I mean, this is such a great toy. I mean, some of the Joes are big, blocky, you know. But I actually enjoy the look of this. Like I said, I kind of gravitated more towards the Cobras. I mean, some of the G.I. Joes, they had different personalities and this and that. There are a list of G.I. Joe characters that I do love that are very cool. But I thought, you know, Cobra always had sort of the edge in technology, genetics, stuff like that. Which was really sad because it was never exploited due to leadership, due to this and that, call it what you will. But then again, the Joes were never able to fully eradicate them, so tit for tat, if you know what I'm saying. But yeah, this is a great figure. I'm so happy to actually have this in my collection. Give it a quick stand-up test. It stands up nicely. With some of these action figures, when they have a big head like this, kind of lean forward. I have a few like toys like a Black Canary, other stuff like that, where they lean forward and it just doesn't look right. But yeah, this toy is incredibly well balanced. Very cool to have. I'm actually glad to own it. Just so you guys know, Cobra Bat. The androids of Cobras. Battle Android Trooper. And yes, it could have come with a few more bells and whistles, but this is Funko, you know. I mean, like, they don't usually come with a backpack. I'm actually glad they came with the alternate claw. Makes it very cool. I'm glad to own this. It's in my set. And it's actually nice to have another Cobra figure. Like I said, they need to make more Cobra figures. I totally see like a Serpentor, you know, set where he's sitting on his floating chair. That would actually be very, very cool. Maybe a vehicle set for the Joes. Sergeant Slaughter, that'd be awesome in a Slaughtermobile. But there's so many different options with Funko. That's why I love Funko so much. And I've often said you can collect a lot of different things without having to buy a lot of different stuff. I'm very happy this is in my collection. And they've had these bigger G.I. Joe action figures. I'm thinking about maybe getting some. We'll find out later. But yeah, Funko, you've done it again. Great product. Fantastic toy. Stands on its own. Very much a tribute to the classic 80s toy. I think it came out in 86. So, Yo Joe, Cobra, all that. I'm Jack Slater. Comic Outlaw. And as always, I'll catch you on the flip side. Yeah.